Okay, so hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. So my name is Fatima and I'm from the marketing team of Nephila Web Technology. So before we start, I would like to give you a brief background on what Nephila Web is. So we are an open source technology advocate and our main services revolve around the platforms for education sector. We offer Nexus or the school information system and the Moodle LMS. And we are also one with the goal of empowering educators to improve our world. So let's start this webinar with an invocation followed by a Philippine national anthem.
hide me under your wings. Cover within your mighty hand. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, though you are God. Rest my soul in Christ alone. Know His home, quietness and trust. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still and know you are God. I will be still and know you are God. I will be still and know you are God.
Okay, so for today's webinar, we will talk about transforming your digital learning into STEM with Wiris tools. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our presenter for today. She is the Channel Manager of Wiris. I'm honored and humbled to introduce to you Ms. Tuğçe Ertekin as the speaker for today. Hi, Ms. Tuğçe. You can go.
Hello. Hello. Well, good afternoon, good morning for us. So we are in the different time zones. We are based in Spain. Wiris is a Spanish company, so we are in Barcelona. So for me, it's good morning to everyone. And thank you very much, Fatima, for the very lovely introduction and the videos. It was very nice to watch, especially the second one, to see the images from the country. It was very nice. And as you introduced, today we will talk about the tools, the Wiris tools, especially WirisQuizzes, because it includes the other tool that we already have. No, so First, I will do a little bit of presentation, and then we will directly go and do a live demo inside our Moodle website. And that part will be done by Jordi because my colleague is here, and we'll introduce him also later. And I will do like the company introduction. Hi, Jordi. Good morning. And a bit of like what WirisQuizzes is, and then we will go like how we create the questions and what additional features that I won't be mentioning in the introduction presentation, what else you can do, how the students can benefit, so all these things. And then we will have the questions and answers. We'll be very happy to hear that you will enjoy, and you will find, you will also catch the useful points that you can implement in your daily life. I don't know, like if we have educators or like who we have among us, but especially in the education, in the academic field, it's very much used all around the world. And like our clients, our users, they very much appreciate, they always give feedback. So once they start using WirisQuizzes, it's always a long-term cooperation, because they cannot like give away the comfort that WirisQuizzes brings to, especially to the STEM users. Well, I would like to go ahead with the presentation because I will already explain these things there. I don't know if I will share my screen, Fatima, or you will share with the presentation. How should I do?
I think you will be the one to share the...
Okay, then I'll share my screen with my presentation. Can I go ahead already?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay. You have to enable me to share my screen, please. I cannot share my screen yet.
Oh, let me check one moment.
Yes, please.
Miss Tuğçe, are you able to share your screen now?
Okay, now I can, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's put this down. Go here. Okay, so we will talk about today the remote STEM assessment with WirisQuizzes. So I am assuming that you are familiar with the word STEM, but just like it's science, technology, engineering, and math. So this is where WirisQuizzes is very useful, all the Wiris tools, because it's a company. Well, I think more than half of our colleagues are mathematicians. So it's very much everyone, like the core of the companies are actually mathematicians. So what we will see is like we will see the introduction, the live demo, and the questions and answers, as I mentioned. So empowering the STEM questions in digital learning. Okay, here. So we have three groups of users. No, we have the faculty, the teachers, we have the students, and we have the admins. So all three of these ones are, of course, they are very much collaborated with each other. They are kind of attached to each other, but they benefit in slightly different ways. So, for example, for the faculty, which is like the first column, so you are not like in a digital environment, you are not stuck to create like multiple choice question, because if you start using WirisQuizzes, you can create open questions, you can create graphical questions, you can also create, of course, multiple choice, drag and drop, all these features. But it gives you a broad new way of, like, actually a bit like the traditional way of learning math. Like when I was a student, we were doing it with pencil and paper. It's the same way, but in the digital environment. And of course, with the WirisQuizzes, there is this auto grading. So the teacher creates the exam or the homework or the quiz or the practice, whatever. And then you can forget about that because the system automatically grades the answers of the students. And this is used from the K-12 education until like up until university. University also goes a bit like if you are doing a PhD in engineering, if you are a research institute. So like all this range. No, it's not only for high school or middle school or university. No, it can welcome any type of user. And as I said also, 2 and 3D visual graph representations are also possible. That is actually a very a valuable tiny feature, one of the features that we have, but it's very difficult to find if you don't have an external tool in your LMS. Well, this cheating prevention using random parameters. So we have a feature called random parameter that Jordi will show in detail later on, which means that you create one question, but every student who takes that exam gets the same question with different numbers. So there is no way that they can look at each other. It's fair because everyone is doing the same question. There is nothing like one is difficult than the other, but you have to do it by yourself for sure. So this, now I connected with the student side. So this is, okay, it's maybe not that nice for the student during the exam, but this brings another thing that if you know that, for example, your students are failing in one topic repeatedly, or they need more questions, but the teacher doesn't have time to create 50 same questions, that's what you can use also. Like many teachers use it for this purpose as well. So you create one question with different variables. For example, you say that like x can be a number between 1 minus 100 plus 100. And then this like A, B, C, D, you define all the variables in the question. And then suddenly you have a question bank with the same question, I don't know, unlimited amount of questions. And the students can go and practice the same question unlimited times, like the amount that they want. So this is a very, very good thing for the students to practice the same type of questions when they know that like they fail in that topic. So again, it's for the open answers. So when you have a multiple choice, if you click the wrong answer, it's gone. Like there is no way that you can justify yourself. You can explain yourself. Maybe you did one page of like formulas written there, and then in the pre-last step you did a small mistake and you calculated as 57 instead of 60, and you click 57. No, and then the question is gone. But if you have open answers using WirisQuizzes, you can write your answer, and you have a huge space to justify your steps. Just like as I said, like with the paper and pencil that we were doing, you can do it in your digital in mind. You can explain, even though that your final answer may be wrong, the teacher can use an initiative to go and check your justification and see that, okay, the student did all the steps correct, but in the last one, they did the mistake. Okay, I won't give them a 0 because the final answer is wrong, but I will give them, I don't know, half, whatever the teacher wants. No? And also, this feedback thing. So when the teacher creates the questions, for each possible wrong answer, for example, imagine that it's a question. Well, I'm saying too much because I will show them later. Okay, so this is the part for the students. No, the student can get the feedback from the teacher, practice more on topic. You know that we also have the handwriting. So if you're in a mobile device connected to your Moodle through the website, or if you're in a tablet, if your laptop is a touch screen, you can also handwrite the formulas. You can recognize your formula and put it inside your answer without any problem. And for the admin parts, like our lovely Moodle admins that we are very much friends always. So the people most of the times who does the WirisQuizzes integration is into the Moodle website is either a partner or it's a admin that they work together. So with Moodle, we have a seamless integration. We are always like, before they release the latest version of Moodle, we already have the integration done because we are very close, in a very close relation with Moodle. So we have all the documentations, we have all the training, our like support colleagues, sales colleagues, technical colleagues, everyone is like very, very expert on Moodle usage and integration. So there is it will be like a really, really, really easy integration. So like, what is WirisQuizzes? Okay, so it's a generic. So it's an assessment tool. It's not only to write math formulas. It's not like a keyboard, math keyboard that Math Type is. Maybe Math Type we are already a bit familiar because it's widely used. Now we are trying to introduce WirisQuizzes to this big range of contacts that we already have, and they already know WirisQuizzes. So it can be used in many LMSs, but here, of course, we are talking about Moodle because our very loved and respected reseller is a Moodle expert. So here you can feel free to contact us or them if you want to try WirisQuizzes in your Moodle, you want to integrate, you want to give it a test, and Nephila will be your contact point. So as I said, it can be used for any universities, K-12, adult teaching, after schools. So this is also, for example, very much used. So there is this private tutoring online courses, and they use Moodle to give classes, and then they use also WirisQuizzes or Math Type. So this is also one option. And for the university level, so you shouldn't only think that it's for mathematics because it's to write math, but it's for mathematics, physics, engineering, economics, statistics. Even sometimes we get very surprised to see some faculties that, like, I would say, like, I don't know, like medicine, nursery. Okay, I still veterinary. So we have one client who is a private clinic of veterinary, and I was like, but where do you use our tools? And they were telling, no, we have to enter a lot of formulas, do a lot of calculations and this, and we were like, okay, if it's useful for you, perfect. So it's actually a very useful tool for a very wide range of audience. So these are the generic features of WirisQuizzes, not features, but like the benefits that it brings, no? Going beyond multiple choice, creating graphical questions, okay, mitigate cheating and empower practicing on one topic, saving time, obviously saving a lot of time by having the auto grade. You create your exam and you're out, it's done. You can 100% trust on the results. If you are curious to see what happened with the results of the students, like who failed, who passed, you can go back and check maybe the failed ones to see what happened there. But if you don't want to do it, you can 100% trust on the results that WirisQuizzes will give. And it's also good for the student because now there is no waiting for the result of your exam 1 week, 2 weeks. No, the moment that you submit your exam, you have your result. And again, like this in handwriting recognition. So this scratch pad here is the one where I mentioned that they can justify their answers. They can write step by step what they did. And also, I don't know if we have any schools or universities that have a department for this, but we are also supporting accessibility. So this is also very much like appreciated by some audience that we have, but keep in mind that like it's also there. So now, I think I gave a brief idea of what WirisQuizzes is, like the basic features, what we can do together. And before perhaps jumping to the demo, because then there won't be time to go back to who we are, who Wiris is, I want to give like a few sentences who we are. So as I said at the beginning, we are based in Spain, in Barcelona. This is the headquarters. We are in total, Wiris is like 75, 80 people. We also have another office in United States, in Long Beach, that only does the support and some sales. So there is no technical, so everything, all the development, everything is done in the Barcelona office. So Wiris has WirisQuizzes, Wiris has Math Type for LMS, so for example, Math Type for Moodle, and Wiris has Math Type for Office tools, which is like Math Type for Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Microsoft 365, Google Docs, Google Slides. So this is the generic portfolio that we have. So we have some other things that like no need to mention here. But this WirisQuizzes, Math Type for Moodle and Math Type for Microsoft for Office tools is the three main products that we have. And we have been in the market. WirisQuizzes is perhaps the newest tool that we have, meaning that it's there like more than 10 years. But the Math Type tools are there like for, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 years, perhaps since the beginning. But with the, so WirisQuizzes was always used, no, like before the pandemic. But now with the pandemic, everybody realized that like, okay, I should always have a plan B. I should always have my remote LMS platform prepared just in case something happens. And now people are, faculty and students are more comfortable. No, we are more used to using this. So in this, actually in 2020 and 21, we had a huge peak in the usage of WirisQuizzes, because now it's like, okay, now I don't want to avoid it. It's not like, okay, no, we still do these things. Like we still do it the traditional way. Even the schools that do it the traditional way, they now also always want to keep their LMS ready and for anything. No. Well, yes, that's who we are, like a company of 75 people with a lot of mathematicians, a lot of developers. Me, myself, I'm not a mathematician, I'm a biologist. However, I ended up working with Wiris, and I'm very happy and I'm very proud. I'm also especially proud that we are working in the education field, and in an educational field that like we empower the STEM topics. It's one of the topics that the students, especially in K-12, because in university you are already, you chose not to study that topic. But K-12, like math, so it's a way that actually that the students enjoy with this handwriting. They can do the graphical questions. So we are very happy to be contributing in the education field all around the world. For me, this is the part that I want to finish here. From here, maybe we can give the word to Jordi, and Jordi will do the live demo inside the Moodle, a real Moodle platform. So let me go out of my presentation. Okay, here. Okay. Jordi, feel free to go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, teacher. I wait for having permissions to share my screen. If Fatima can provide me, and when I've got it, I will start.
Okay, sir, let me check it on my end.
Thank you.
Sir Jordi, are you able to share your screen now?
Thanks, I can see it. Okay, so what we're seeing now is our Moodle platform that we have in Wiris to make tests to generate content, and it should be very similar to the Moodle you'll have. So all the user interface will be very similar. And what I'm going to do is like those features that Tuğçe has explained, or those benefits that students, teachers, and admins can get about the tool, just provide examples to show it in live, and add some advanced features that can also be interesting. As Tuğçe has said, the first interesting feature from WirisQuizzes is the automatic assessment capability. Other question types natives about Moodle or other LMSs can validate the student's answers, but only literally. If the text matches with the correct answer defined by the teacher, the system validates it. But what we can do is to validate every mathematically expression that is equivalent to the correct answer. Here there is a very simple question where we ask to sum two fractions, and we can write the answer in a wide range of formats. 2 between 4, 1 between 2, 0.5. All these answer types will be accepted by WirisQuizzes, as all of them are mathematically equivalent. And to show you how restrictive is, it can also accept by default if we write the same as we have in the statement, as this value is also the same. And that's why we have developed the second interesting feature, that is the capability of adding additional properties. What we do with this feature is to add some restrictions about the student's answer. Here we were only requiring the answer to be mathematically equivalent to the correct one. Here we are requiring the answer to be mathematically equivalent, and some other properties. For example, that the answer, is simplified. Here, if the student provides a non-simplified answer, the system can understand that it's not simplified as we're requiring, and provide a partially grade as the answer is well computed, but the student has forgotten to simplify. And we can provide, for example, the half of the grade. But this is something that it's up to the teacher. So the teacher chooses if he wants to give partial grade, if we want to penalize answers without a corresponding property. And what I'm going to do now is to show you very shortly how to do so, and to show you that it's very simple. Here there is the first part, that's the question statement, just compute the sum of that fractions, and here you can see Math Type is the equation editor that Tuğçe said before, and it's how we can include that formulas. So I go here, you can see that with Math Type we have written these fractions, and as you can see here, there are several options, roots, matrices, formulas regarding integrals and derivatives. There are a wide range of options, but now for what we are seeing are not interesting. And here is where we have the place where we set the correct answer. Okay, we have defined that 1/2 is the correct answer, 1 between 2, and that's what the system will use to validate if the student's answer is correct or not. And then we have a section which is named validation options. That is where we define the validation options that the system has to follow to validate the correct answer or not. So what we have done here is selected the is simplified option. It's as simple as selecting a checkbox that we say if we want the answer to be simplified or not. There are other answers, other options, like is expanded or is factorized. We cannot see it now because in a single fraction, it has no sense to ask if the answer is factorized. So we hide it to avoid some noise. But the idea is that here we can add these additional properties as simple as you have seen. Okay, so if we keep going to see the next property, it's also have been mentioned by Tuğçe, the possibility of adding random parameters. We have seen before the question 1 between 4 plus 1 between 4. Now these two fractions are completely random. Every time that the student takes the quiz, or if two different students take the quiz, the values that they will see are different. And I will also show you how easy it is from the teacher point of view. As you can see here, before we saw 4 numbers, 1, 4, 1, 4. Now we see 4 variables, num1, then 1, num2, then 2. And it's just to know you that you need to include the hashtag, that it's the way that WirisQuizzes understand that here we're calling to a variable that we have also defined in WirisQuizzes. We have seen before the validation option section. There is also another section which is called define random variables and functions. And here we can see the calculator where the random values are generated. We have generated these 3 random values, the 2 numerators and the denominator, and then we have defined the solution. Thus, even though there are lots of questions with random values that corresponds to different answers, as teachers, we don't have to grade every question separately because the system has before understood. Well, I don't know if someone wants to say something. If not, I would appreciate if you can mute. Okay, thank you. Okay, what I was saying is that the system can also take into account the random values when it does the validation. And here you can see how easy it is to define the random values and the corresponding solution. In the correct answer section, before we define here the 1/2, now we have the hashtag solve because the variable with the correct answer is named solve. Just to see, just to show how easy can be randomized a question. Okay, if we keep going, as Tuğçe also said, WirisQuizzes is not only for mathematical questions. Here we can see an example of a physics question and how the system is able to understand equivalently any equivalent unit. Here, for example, the answer can be typed as 2 hours 20 minutes, 2.53 hours, 140 minutes. We could also answer in seconds. Any unit of time would be accepted if the number is equivalent to the correct answer. And as we have seen before, it's also possible to add additional properties regarding the units. We can also require the student to answer in minutes. And if the answer is in seconds, we can not give the full grade because we want the student to make the unit factor or whatever in which we can be interested. But the idea is that by default, WirisQuizzes accept everything that is mathematically equivalent, but we can add some restrictions by selecting a corresponding checkbox. Another interesting feature is the possibility to add an auxiliary input component. What is it? Is a plain text field where the student can justify the answer that he has provided. As Tuğçe also said, if here the student answered 80 minutes, as it's not correct, the system will give 0 points, but we don't know as teachers what procedure he has followed or which formula has he applied correctly and which not. So if we provide that camp to the student, we can later check manually what procedure has he followed and if we want to regrade or not, or if we want to analyze where our students has more problems to plan another activity or to facilitate their learning. Here in the input, they can also use Math Type. So they can add formulas if they are interested in, and they can also use, if they use iPads of any tactile device, the sketch to write anything. So it's also possible in this way. Another interesting thing is the possibility to add customized feedback to the student. So, for example, this question, if the student forgets to invert the signs and provides with a wrong answer, the system can say, okay, it's not correct, but besides giving 0 points, we can explain, see the correct answer in green, cutting the axis in the point -3 and 2. See how your answer in red doesn't cut the axis where we asked for. So the student, besides knowing that the answer is not correct, they can see why. And if we want, we can also explain the procedure he should have followed to find the correct answer, for example. But the idea is to try to do it in this continuous learning, and it's not like, okay, student, do it by your own, and if you fail, you fail. Next topic, we can try to focus on the mistakes and focus on learning about them. Another, that's a most advanced feature named grading functions. The idea is that if we are asking, for example, for a prime number, there are an infinity of prime numbers, so we cannot set the correct answer as the number 2, for example, because if the student answers with the 11, it's also correct. So a grading function is like a rule that we define as teachers in which we want the student answer to be validated. Here is the same question as we have seen before. There is not only one polynomial with that roots. This one, for example, has also those roots. So the system can check if we evaluate the polynomial given by the student in these points. If both are 0, the answer is correct. So we are giving like a more general rule that to check if the answer is correct or not. But as I have said, that's an advanced feature that I don't want to focus more now. Just to be finishing the presentation, the last thing we would like to present is the possibility to add graphics to the questions. Here we have a statistics example that besides providing all the results of a math test, we can also give the corresponding bar chart. So the corresponding diagram, so the student can also answer the question using the values or using the representation. This is just to give more possibilities and more kind of questions. On the same way, it's also possible to give more than one question in the same big question, like asking for different values to make them more complete. And finally, there is a brand new feature from WirisQuizzes for which we are very proud. It's very new, and there is no one else in the market that does something similar. So we're very proud of our development team. That is the graphical answer. Instead of providing an editor to provide the formula as a formula or an equation or a number or text, we can provide the student with a graph where they have to draw the answer. Here we have a very simple example of we provide with an equation system, and the student has to fill the corresponding region. So can select the region, and the system will understand that the student has selected the proper space. And to provide another example, a more sophisticated example, here is our generic demo. Yeah, here we have it. We can also ask the student to draw the bisector of a given angle using these tools, that's lines and circles. So the student can draw whatever he wants, but the system what will take into account is that he succeeds in finding that line, the bisector. And if we test it, as you can see here, the answer is correct, but these circles are not unique. The student could have drawn a bigger circles or smaller circles. He can use another procedure to find that bisector line, but the important is that the system is only focusing on that line, and the student can use that tool, circumference lines. There are several more, but here has been hidden because they are not necessary in this question, but they can use a wide range of possibilities to find the answers and to answer that kind of questions. So it's another very interesting thing. And that's all for our part. Just to mention that WirisQuizzes is a very useful tool, but also it's kind of difficult at the beginning to get used to the user interface. It requires some job from the teacher's part, but we as company offer training, we offer support, so we don't abandon you too in the process of creating content. We can give you all the tools that you can need, and the online training and the documentation pages where we explain from the very beginning how to create questions, how to use every tool and every feature. And we have a support team that is 24 hours available to answer that kind of questions, like, hey, I'm trying to create this kind of question and I'm not succeeding. The documentation, I can find what I want to do. So we have agents that will answer your question in 24 hours, so they can help you in this process. And that's all for me. I don't know if Tuğçe wants to add something or anyone else has any questions.
No, thank you very much, Jordi. Well, you stopped sharing your screen, but I just was going to ask you to show also PM type now that you were having it there, because we didn't mention it anywhere. No, I forgot to mention it also. It's just so that you know, because it comes with the whole package, no? So
yeah. Let me explain it briefly.
Both of us skipped it, yeah.
Okay, as we have seen before, we talked about Math Type, the formula editor, the mathematical formula editor. but we also have Chem Type, that is the same editor, but about chemistry. And we have here the periodic table, and we have some symbols that are more appropriated for chemistry, and we decided to separate these two editors because we understood that the target could be different, and for a chemistry teacher maybe there are some symbols that are not necessary and they only generated noise in the toolbar. So we have the accurate chemistry editor, so all chemistry teachers can use it for creating content. I don't know if you want to add something.
No, just so that like we have it here and we talk about it. No, like we don't ignore Chem Type.
We forgot it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jordi. From my side, I have nothing to add. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Tuğçe, for sharing your valuable insights, and to Mr. Jordi for providing the demo for STEM assessment for Wiris. So this is really very helpful for all the students in answering and teaching, and for the teachers in preparing their quizzes. So now let's go ahead with the Q&A discussion. Let me check if we got some questions here. So let's say if a client wants to avail the Wiris quizzes, how are they going to proceed?
What do you mean by that exactly? Like if they want to use Wiris quizzes?
Yes.
Okay. So now, as I said, like here, as you are already the hosts and you're Moodle experts, they can contact you directly. And if they want to integrate Wiris quizzes inside their Moodle, it's open. If they just write to Google Wiris quizzes for Moodle, the first or the second page that they will see is how to integrate it. No? And it's quite straightforward, as I said. And whatever version that they have probably will work if they are not. What was this, the oldest version, Jordi? If it's not a Moodle older than 2.3, something like that, it will work. That I think it's not that much used anymore, these very, very old versions. And you just follow the steps, you do the test. However, it's important that if you decide to take this step, it's important that they inform you or us, saying that like, hey, I'm this school, I'm this university, and I want to test Wiris quizzes. Because we have a team called statistics team. And then when a URL, let's call it a URL, when a URL integrates one of our tools, since it's a cloud tool, they use it on cloud, it sends requests to our servers. And if we don't know that if we don't recognize this URL and they don't have a license and we don't know, they didn't contact us, we have no idea who they are, after some time, the statistics team start putting some notifications saying that, hey, this is a trial version, contact sales, contact Wiris. To avoid this and like not to get bothered with this notification, if you let us or Nephila know that, hey, this is the URL that I will test Wiris quizzes, like please keep it in mind, then you can see the full features after the integration, and you can use the full tool like you would use after you do a purchase. So there won't be any cards, any messages, notifications, and that's all.
Okay, noted on that. So for those who are interested, they may contact us directly. Okay, so for the next one, does Wiris offer a free trial?
Yes, for the academic institutes, if you are a K-12 school or a university, we especially for Wiris quizzes, we even keep it a little bit longer because there's the integration, you have to get used to, you let your students try. But yes, of course, definitely we give a free trial period, let's say.
Okay, thank you for that. The last one, I think this will be the last question. For those who are interested, we'll also ask this one. How about the pricing?
Yes, on our pricing, the pricing method, let's say, first thing that we ask is like how many teachers and how many students will use our tools. Now, for example, if it's a university with 10 faculties and maybe half of the faculties are math related, so we don't want to charge for example, the language departments, no? Or in a school, we don't want to add the English teacher to the subscription. So we don't ask the whole number of the user, the existing number of faculty and students, but the ones who will use our tools. Mostly for example, if you're a school with 50 teachers, we expect that more or less 20 of them will use, because 20 will be math teachers, physics teachers, chemistry teachers, and most of the times all the students will use it, because the students, they don't have, especially in K-12, you take all the classes. So for sure you will take a chemistry class, math class, physics, English, and this, but you are counted in this subscription. So we will need the number of potential WirisQuizzes or Math Type users to be able to provide a quotation.
Okay, noted on that. We'll just inform them for the details.
Okay.
Yes, so I think that's the question I see here. So thank you again, Ms. Tuğçe and Mr. Jordi, for the presentation and for your time. So is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up?
No, but we always encourage, that's one thing that I want to say. We always encourage the people to give it a try, because as I said, it's not like a lot of work at all. Like, as I said, integration is very easy, testing is very easy. And imagine that, like, so for some reason you don't like it, it's also very easy to unintegrate. So it won't do any harm to your Moodle platform if you decide not to use WirisQuizzes. It's just the same, not the same, it's even easier to unintegrate. So anyone who is interested, please go to Google, go to our website, or you can contact Ms. Fatima to ask like the exact links if you don't want to go through it like by yourself, and she can provide you, go to this link and follow these steps, and we'll be there to like gladly assist you.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Ms. Fatima, for arranging this webinar. And we are always very glad to work with you, like be in contact with you, and I hope it was useful for everyone.
Yes, Ms. Tuğçe, we would like to thank you also for your time for presenting here on our webinar. So again, everyone, I'm encouraging all of you to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our pre-webinar announcement. So regarding this webinar, if you have any questions for Tuğçe and their services, feel free to send us an email or contact us directly. So I think we're good for now. Thank you, Ms. Tuğçe, Mr. Jordi, and the team for your presentation and demo. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. I hope to see you again on our next webinars. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.